Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Beyond Seven Figures podcast. So, today's guest is a serial entrepreneur. Back in 2007, she started a company known as FaceLogic Spa, did really well there for over 5 years, and then started a company called BioSanes Health and Nutrition. Started another company in 2017 known as Meraki Objects, which she still owns, and then another company in 2015, Eclectic Array. So entrepreneurship is definitely something that is not new to her. She's been doing this for well over a decade. Her industry is much different than the other guests that we've had here in the past. Mission ultimately to create unique products and spaces that connect both artisans, their stories, their techniques, their heritage over to a bigger market. A lot of passion, a lot of heart that goes into what she creates, which, as we've come to learn over this series of God knows how many different episodes we've created, if you look at the most successful people that we've had, they've been fueled by a sense of passion and also through a sense of purpose. And that purpose changes for so many different people, but you'll notice that the bigger your vision, the bigger the impact that you want to have on others, the more you're able to create. Whatever it is, the bigger the impact, more value you create, the more you grow and your business grows. So, without further ado, welcome to the show, Faryn Clark.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. I'm just feel super honored to be here and to be able to share a little bit of my story today and see what comes up.
Awesome. Well, I really never know where these conversations are going to go, but where I want to start. So, you lead on some of your social profiles. As successful as you lead with the fact that you're a mom of three and a wife first. And I bring that up because I coach a number of female founders and so forth. And more often than not, they express that the challenges and the requirements and everything else placed on them is different. Doesn't mean, good, bad, none of that, but is
Yeah.
significantly different. And, as a man, I think it's important that I seek to also understand. So if you could just entertain that when we talk about leading with being a mom and a wife of three and running multiple successful companies.
100%. While that is absolutely my core and my focus, I can tell you many times that I fail daily. However, I think that it's just a journey and it's something for me that I've been incredibly passionate about showing my boys. I have three teenage boys and I've wanted to raise them in a way that they saw their mom as somebody strong that could take over the world and that she believed she could do anything
Mhm.
and that they would support that. My husband, in the same sense, he knew that I was always gonna do it. He would always tell me, oh, that I would ask him about something and then I was gonna do what I wanted anyway. So, luckily, he was on board for that. So, whether the good, the bad, or the ugly, we've made a great partnership, and I think that that's really what it comes down to, finding somebody that's willing to support you in your passion, in your purpose, and really understanding what is so truly incredibly important in life and important to you. And so my husband, my greatest supporter in so many ways. He loves to what he says is tap the brakes, which is not like I'm stepping on the gas 100%. So I think just being a mom, being a wife, it's a struggle. Let's be real. It is hard. But knowing why you're doing what you're doing and, what you're doing it for. You're not just chasing a dollar, and really having a connection to your greater purpose and to what you want them to see and what you want them to know. There's so much more involved.
Mm. It's funny with my son and my daughters, I notice how many times they pick up on either the conversations that I have, the relationships that I've built, and so forth. But where it really makes a difference is how I hear them communicating that to their friends. And,
Absolutely.
and it makes me realize some areas where I feel like I'm doing great and that's awesome. But then there are other areas where I look at it and go, okay, that's a little bit of an opportunity for me to improve.
My husband started working with me 5 years ago and always supported me in the business endeavors of, like, whatever I was starting and whatnot, but 5 years ago, he actually came on board as our director as our COO and CFO. And
Yeah.
so it has been quite a journey, but having my husband and 3 teenage boys modeled by what respecting women, respecting their moms, respecting in such a way and knowing that it's not like that there's a partnership in life.
Yeah.
So,
And I think you're also leading by multiple different examples because not only are you showing them what it's like, working as a mom, as a wife, but also working together with your husband, and there's dynamics there. But it sounds to me like you've designed the business for you, for your life. You've created a situation where your kids still feel that they're a priority, I believe, just based on
right,
everything, that I'm seeing and hearing. But then you added one other element there. And that other element is many entrepreneurs believe that the reason why they start a business is to make money.
right.
And when I started, my initial intention was I would shovel shit for $1 million.
Mhm.
And that's what I believed I needed to do. And what I found was that I was the least happy I ever was not fulfilled. And even though I made what I set out to achieve and then some, I wasn't winning at life. I reshifted my priorities and I focused in on designing the life I wanted and a focus on delivering value. And then I realized I get paid in direct proportion to the value I put out there. So wait a minute, more value I create from more people, the more money I make, and I feel more fulfilled and more happy.
Like the greatest waterfall ever.
Right? And you're making a direct impact
Mhm.
on a on a group of people
Right.
that you're literally changing their lives and
And it's
making money at the same time.
in a huge way. When I owned the spa in Dallas, I had been in corporate prior to that, knew that wasn't it. Loved what I did in every job that I've ever had, but wanted something new. I wanted to make a difference. I was looking for impact. I thought I needed to start a philanthropy. And so I was
Mm,
like, I'm going to start a nonprofit. This is what I'm going to do. And I had this calling for international missions. Convinced my husband, long story short, convinced my husband to sell everything and move to Mexico. And what was so beautiful about that journey, we moved down here with no idea what the heck we were going to do. People would say, like, oh, I'm going to Mexico on vacation. But we wanted to really educate people on what Mexico was and the art and the techniques and all the amazing things that it had and make a difference.
yeah.
And so we started meeting these indigenous and impoverished individuals that were incredibly talented, but had no outlet and had no exposure. And so it was just about bringing them together and giving them a space that we could be storytellers and represent them in a beautiful way that people could come in and connect with them and their story, that they would pick up a hat and they would say, that hat was made by Francisco and Campeche in a cave.
Where are people buying these products?
So right now we have 10 locations, 2 under construction, 4 more under contract. Like it's crazy, but we are all over Mexico. We're expanding beyond Mexico as well. We're in high-end tourist destination. So we started out doing freestanding locations and then hotels started coming to us and asking us to curate unique concepts. And so we
Mm,
work with Montage, Four Seasons, St. Regis, several different properties like that across Mexico where you can go into a property and be able to really connect with the purpose. And it was a great thing to be able to see these really powerful brands. So it doesn't matter what location you go into, it would be a unique experience. not only visually, but within the products as well.
So, what was it that why did the hotels choose you? Was there something you did from a positioning standpoint, from a strategic standpoint? Like, what put you on the map so they knew? Because there's a lot of products that are sold all over the place in Mexico, a lot of stores, but
Right.
why why you?
I think we do things different. We do things different in a lot of ways from the culture of our team and our staff. We have a really, really strong culture. So the experience typically when you go into a retail store, especially a hotel boutique, the common experience is that somebody goes in and it's like a cashier. The experience itself, because our team is so unbelievably passionate, one of
Mhm,
our one of our core values was passion, positively contagious attitude. And so to be able to fully express that, we do a team trip every year, and our team trip, we take our entire company somewhere in Mexico to be able to firsthand meet the artisans that we work with. So one aspect is the culture of the experience. They're truly passionate in the storytelling of the way they represent the products. The storytelling is a huge aspect of it. Nobody knows when you go into stores, do they really know where the products come from, how they're made, the technique, who they empowered and who they supported? That's our job. Every
mhm,
product you touch, I should be able to tell you something about it to where it's like a museum, that it's a
mhm.
genuine experience that whether you buy something or not, it's my responsibility to educate you. We started our business because of the impact, and we help our artisans in three main ways. We do microloans at 0% interest for our artisans to be able to have an opportunity to better their lives and grow their business. And that's something that I was hugely passionate about, to be able to know that they had continued growth opportunities. Our artisans, for me, they're the greatest entrepreneurs I've ever met. They have
Mhm.
struggles that we have never experienced. So I think that that's one huge aspect, the microloans. The other two things that we do for our artisans that really differentiate us, we do coaching. And the coaching that we do for the artisans, we understand what their limitations are. We give them coaching on the colors, on the trends, on the fashion, on the styles, what's going to be sellable so they can sell more. We give
Yep,
them money so they can have opportunity to have those materials that they need, but we give them access to materials that they may not have access to as well. So it's
got it.
all about like really up leveling their possibilities and potential and creating the unique products. It's not just what people are selling on the street and in market. So it's really just, I think it's about giving opportunities, finding creative ways to be able to create impact through giving opportunity.
You're balancing both the altruistic side and, there's 2 sides, altruistic and narcissistic, and narcissistic has a bad connotation, but it's not intended to be, right? So, from economically, how do you handle that between helping the artisans, but also, let's face it, you're also a very successful entrepreneur, you
Right.
know, and this is not a nonprofit organization, right? This
That's
is
right.
a for profit. So how do you dance with that balance?
We're giving opportunities not only to our team. So there's good being done not only to for the artisans, for and by the artisans that we're working and the creators, but for our team and making sure that they have incredible opportunities of growth and coaching and betterment in their lives. And so our business of social impact is so focused on doing good when it comes to a financial number. And for me, this year alone, over $3 million went to the artisans that we work with. Over
Wow.
$3. So this is not just a percentage thing. Over $3 million went to the artisans and suppliers that we are working with to
Wow.
be able to better their lives, to provide for them in the volume of the work that they're doing. We give them loans at 0% interest. I mean, I very easily could say, you owe me 5 or 10%. Oh, this is about giving them an advance to live better lives. The first microloan that we ever did was for the roof of a home of one of our artisans. He and his wife both are producers for us. He didn't have a roof on his home. He had a blue tarp. over a cinder brick house.
Yeah.
He had 3 children. So for him, we did a 20,000 peso, $1,000 to be able to do a roof on his home. And
Wow.
that gave him not only better quality of life for he and his family, but it gave him months of work that he wasn't able to do in his home where they could stay home with their children and do production and then be able to share that. They're doing a workshop in their home, share that with his wife is sharing it with her friends. They're doing embroidery from their homes. They can stay home with their children. Like it's just a beautiful ripple effect.
There's a number of things that you're saying, which I think is great. Darwin's survival of the fittest, when you really drill down into what it means, it's if you add more to the survival of others, then others will conspire around you to help you survive more. Therefore, he that's the value that he brings.
I
And
love
from an entrepreneurial standpoint, when we look at Darwin's survival of the fittest and how it applies to us as business owners, it's how do we add as much value as we can back into the world, so
Mhm.
much so that our mere survival helps them get more of what they want, whether that's wealth, happiness, success, love, all this other fun stuff, right? So across the board, we're seeing a massive, contribution of everybody rowing in the same direction. Your success as a company benefits everybody and everybody succeeds together. Now, you also brought up Richard Branson, which helps to address the question of that dance between altruism and
Right.
narcissism. And you look at Richard Branson, he's a multi-billionaire, but he's also one of the most philanthropic individuals on the planet. And so he's using his influence and his money and his power and everything else to be able to further drive change, which
Like,
is also something that, there's a lot of people in this world that, will pull and root for Branson's
right.
success. And especially in our world where,
Well,
we hang out with a lot of the same people, very successful entrepreneurs, Richard Branson is very much considered a professional role model. He ticks a lot of the boxes.
mhm,
Does he make an impact in the world? Yes. Has he designed the life that he wants for himself? Yes. Does he
right.
look like he's having fun doing it? Yes. Like, all this other stuff is
Yeah, the
he's
family, like, still has, a family intact, is supporting his children and
right.
their interests and passions, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, me too, me too." So,
Yeah.
like, we can all do that on our own scale.
Right. So it's really, I think, if we kind of now look at it a little differently, if let's say you're talking to your kids
Right.
and your kids decide that they're going ahead and they're going to start a business,
Mhm.
whatever that business might be. Let's say they're starting, an agency of sorts and working with other businesses or whatever it might be. Let's just
Right.
pretend for the sake of example, they
Mhm.
decide they want to start an agency. So now they're coming to you for advice.
Right.
What advice are you going to give your children on not only, running that business, but then taking that business, say, beyond seven figures?
I mean, the obvious of what we've been talking about, I think really aligning with passion and purpose, being able to find something that you care about, that you can be so unbelievably headstrong that nothing is gonna stop you, because
Yep.
it's real easy to give up every day
Yeah.
if you don't have something that you're connected to. So I think, being passionate about something and having that inner soul connection to it, where
Yeah.
this is what I have to deliver on, but it has a lot of validity. Let me share. So if you get a dog, you have nobody that believes in you. And everybody tells you that your idea is crazy. Your dog is going to show up wagging his tail every day, ready, ready to fulfill his duty and go to work
Yeah.
with you. I had the greatest co-founder in my business. It was my dog. When I had nobody believing in me and I set up on the side of the road with a table and a tent selling the first products I had, my dog was there. And so I believe, like, when all the naysayers are out there, it's like, have a dog.
My son and my daughters, they're always planning out their future, and they're looking at, what are we going to do next, and how do
Yeah.
they want their life, and blah blah. And similarly, I tell them the same thing. I'm
Mhm.
like, I want you to think and imagine yourself winning the lottery. What would you have to be doing so
Mm.
that no matter how much money you have, you still want to do it? When you are so inspired
Mhm.
that you just continue to do it, like,
Mhm.
it gives you energy and it drives you forward. It's what helps you when things get tough, but doesn't actually matter because you love what you're doing so much.
We're
You
not.
do it not out of a sense of obligation. You do it because it almost becomes your hobby. You just love it.
Oh, I pinch myself every day. Like, how is this my life? How did I get so freaking lucky that I get to do this and people call it work? That it
Yeah,
doesn't, they always say, like, do something that it doesn't feel like work or whatnot. It doesn't mean we don't have hard times and hard days and hard discussions and decision, but
right.
I genuinely pinch myself every day and feel so incredibly blessed that this is how I get to fill my.
Now, there's going to be people listening that are saying, "Oh, okay, that sounds great and whatnot," but let's face it. I mean, right now it feels like drudgery, and
Yeah,
it's exhausting, and I'm tired, and I'm overwhelmed, and I'm burnt out, and I'm all this other stuff.
right.
What I would also suggest is that maybe when you started the business, you had that passion and you had that energy. There are things that you do in your business that give you energy, just gives you energy. You love it, but then there are things in your business that suck away your energy. And maybe it's like
Yeah,
paperwork and bookkeeping or whatever that might be. Just, yeah, you hate in the
right.
beginning, you spend most of your time doing things that give you energy. So of course you
Mhm.
love it. But then as your business grows, you continue to put on multiple different hats, but you find yourself doing more and more of the things that drain you of your energy.
Right.
And if all they did is just bring in the right team, the right systems, the right processes to delegate the stuff that suck their energy away, to put them in a position to give them more energy, and find that spring in their step comes back pretty quickly.
So true. I mean, think about like Dan Martell's book, like Buy Back Your Time. And that's a
Sure.
perfect example. It's kind of a segue into being able to buy back the time so that we can passionately spend it in the areas we want. And being very conscious, having that level of awareness to be able to know how we want to spend our time. How many times do we actually go through life every day where we don't even realize what we're doing. We're just doing it. If we actually took a step back, we're very conscious about, to your point, what gives us energy, what takes energy away. And then we went, oh, this is my genius. This is my zone of genius. This is what fuels me. I need to spend time here. What's it going to take to just live there? What does
Right.
that look like? Yeah.
But, really, when you look at where you sit as a CEO and as a founder, it really does come down to when you look at your successes,
Sure.
usually comes down to less than a handful of decisions over the course of the year that you made that changes the trajectory of the company. A
Yeah.
lot of the little decisions that go on happen every day. They'll have like little blips, but they don't change the course of the company like the big ones. And we'll
Right.
find, especially with AI and all this like new technologies and learning, it's going to be the people who put themselves in a position to learn more, to see opportunities, to know what questions to ask, and so forth. The more you put in your thinking time, um,
Yeah. Right.
the greater your
Being
advantage.
not being afraid of making decisions. How many times do we, out of fear of just making a decision, do we stall ourselves? And
Yeah,
so I think that in that moment, just being okay with making a decision and recognizing even if it's the wrong one, we made a decision and then we can always pivot from that.
absolutely, for sure. So, Farron, I know we're pushing up against the clock. My favorite question, this is Beyond Seven Figures podcast. What would you say your biggest, best tip is for a listener who wants to take their business beyond seven figures?
Oh man. I think I have to just like stay true to the passion and purpose because I know that that's everything. I know the foundation of that, finding something that gets you so excited, that you want to jump out of bed every day, that you especially if it's something that really gives you that energy because you know that you're making a difference in the world. If you have the opportunity to have the balance of making a difference and having true, genuine impact, I believe it's impossible to fail. Because
Yeah.
if you are showering goodness on others and you're being so intentional about that, and you're aligned with the passion and purpose of that and the doing good, it's impossible to fail. Just like run with it.
Well, when you have, in your case, over 1,000 artisans,
Wow.
so you have over 1,000 artisans, over 55 employees, never mind all the hotels, all in the stands cheering for your success, you're right. It becomes very difficult to fail when they are trying to grow the business and row in the same direction and whatnot. You've created a lot of momentum and you've done really extraordinary. People want to learn more about you and your business. Where do we send them?
Either LinkedIn at Faryn Clark, my business. If you go to eclecticarray.com, it's eclecticarray.com. That is the actual business that we started 8 years ago for that. We have a gifting division. We have all sorts of fun things. We have Meraki Objects you can check out that does our corporate incentive and gifting for all of Mexico. And my personal Instagram is fun. So like I love just connecting and collaborating with people that have ideas, people that are smarter than me that want to bring concepts and ideas to the table. So at Faryn Clark.
Awesome. So, Farron, thank you very much for being here as a guest of the Beyond Seven Figures podcast. We talked a lot and can all be summarized into just passion and purpose. And, the Beyond Seven Figures podcast is really designed to be able to take people beyond just what you can read about in books and courses and whatnot, and really dig deep to figure out what are the subtle distinctions that help to separate one successful entrepreneur from another. Passion and purpose definitely seems to be a core belief and understanding among those who are most successful. So again, Farron Clark, thank you very much for being a guest here on the Beyond Seven Figures podcast. For more tips, strategies, and information, also be sure to check us out at predictableprofits.com. Again, that's predictableprofits.com. This is Charles Godet with my friend Farron, and I will see you in another episode.